Welcome to the January 17th edition of Monday Motivation. We are so glad that you decided to join us for today's topic, which is on 3 levels of serving. I just got in from outside. We're in Ontario here. We got dumped on with snow. There's about 2, in some places 3 feet of snow out there, so I've been shoveling and had the snow blower out. Decided to come in, take a break, and get this Monday motivation off to you guys. I know people, my brother's in Fort McMurray, he's probably laughing at us going, yeah, right. But for Ontario, we got dumped on. So I'm going to be back shoveling snow after we're done here. But yeah, I did a training, message to History Makers Society. I'm a trainer there. And the topic was 3 levels of serving. We all serve in some capacity. If you are an employee, you serve your employer. If you are in public service, you are serving the public. If you work at a restaurant, you are serving your customers. If you're self-employed, you are serving your customers. You have a family, you serve your kids. We all serve in some capacity. In some cases, that is volunteering. We volunteer at church. We volunteer in kids' sports. We volunteer on the social committee at work. So serving is a significant part of what we do. Some of it paid, some of it not paid. So I developed this message called 3 levels of serving to look at how we approach serving others. It starts off with this week's portion on volunteering. So it's 3 weeks long. Week 1, the first level of serving is volunteering. Make sure you subscribe to our mail list at mondaymotivation.ca so that you get the second and third part. Or, like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel. However you prefer to get your message from us, make sure you join so that you get part 2, part 3 of this message. So here's part 1 on volunteering. Hello and welcome. My name is Bruce Richardson. I'm a trainer with History Makers Academy, and today I'm here to share with you one of my teachings on serving, or more specifically, I call it 3 levels of service. Now, everyone here, you serve in some capacity. If you're an employee, you serve your employer. How many people here volunteer? You might volunteer, say, on the social committee at work. You might do volunteer work at your church. You might volunteer at the food bank. I'd be surprised if the majority of hands didn't go up. How many people actually do volunteer work? Most of us do in some form or capacity. Today, I want to examine our perspective on serving. And perhaps by the end of this discussion, it might change your paradigm on how you look at acts of service. So let's talk about 3 levels of service. The first level would be volunteering. Many of us volunteer. And volunteering is a good thing. It's important. Many charities need volunteers. Volunteers are needed in society for society to function. You help your neighbor. You give time there. You might help an elderly person. You might get involved in your kids' sports. There's many examples of how we volunteer. Food banks, Habitat for Humanity, building homes for the homeless, building orphanages in other countries, volunteering at the hospital. Many aspects of society need volunteers to function, and volunteering is so important. I'm not going to knock volunteering in any way. I volunteer myself. Many charities would not survive if it were not for the volunteers that support that charity with their time. Volunteering is important because it enables individuals to give back to society. We don't just want to be takers, we want to be givers. You can give back to society. And when you volunteer, you're giving back with no expectations in return. You're not being paid for it. Volunteering is also good for the person doing it. It provides positive mental and physical health. It provides a feeling of achievement and satisfaction. So not only do you give, but you get back when you volunteer. Berkeley University of California makes the statement, new research suggests that volunteers aren't just helping the communities they serve, People who volunteer actually experience a boost in their mental health, and they attribute that to being a part of a cause greater than yourself and the interaction with others. The world needs volunteers. Our society needs volunteers. Charities, the church, many aspects, volunteers are such an important part of society, and I urge you to give your time in volunteering. But also consider this, though. Volunteering is an act that's done on your terms, based on your time and your availability. You choose when to join, you choose when to leave. It is a limited commitment. When you work as a volunteer, it's usually a sideline to your primary work. And as a volunteer, you put in your time and you move on to your next task. That's it. It's a limited commitment type of arrangement. One other consideration. Most of you, I would think, probably volunteer in some capacity at church. But did you know the Bible never uses the term volunteer? I challenge you, take a look. You will never see the term volunteer at work. The disciples were not volunteers. The people who worked alongside of Jesus were not volunteers. The great men of the Old Testament, God did not refer to them as volunteers. So while volunteering is good, let's keep it in perspective. Well, what did you think of that? Next week, we do part 2, which is the second level of serving, finished up with the finale, part 3. That's the part you definitely don't want. Actually, you don't want to miss 2 or miss part 3. So make sure you subscribe to our mailing list at mondaymotivation.ca. What did you think of that? Leave your comments. You can leave your comments on our website. You can leave your comments on Facebook or YouTube. We do respond. But what are your thoughts on volunteering? Love to hear from you. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like our page. If you enjoyed this video, share this video. I guess I'm back to shoveling now. I wish I could stay longer. Here's a couple of pictures of what we're dealing with. This is looking outside of our dining room window. And this one's just outside my studio door. So I get back to shoveling snow now. Maybe go have a hot chocolate. You guys have a great week. We'll see you next week for part 2 of 3 levels of serving here at Monday Motivation.